All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to From Conversation to Conversion, Nurturing Leads with Gorgias and Klaviyo. My name is Tyler Murdock. I am the Director of Technology Partnerships at Gorgias, and we're excited to have all of you here today. I'm joined by lovely Prins, the VP of Platform Expansion from Klaviyo. I'll let her introduce herself and get back into the topic.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. As Tyler said, I'm Prins. I manage our product partnerships at Klaviyo. So that means working with awesome brands like Gorgias to build integrations that help our customers connect and aggregate all the data they need to create customized and personalized experiences. So happy to be here today to talk a little bit about what's new and how to get more out of these two solutions.
Awesome. So today, the main goal is we're going to be discussing the importance of personalized communication and timely follow-ups, exploring best practices for optimizing lead conversion rates, and share how Klaviyo reviews and SMS integrates with Gorgias and how it can enhance your customer support. We will officially announce a new integration and its key benefits, followed by a Q&A session where you can ask any questions you have. But before then, as everyone kind of pops in, would love to get some of Anne's best practices out of her brain and on the platter for all of you to leverage. And we will start with a fun one. Anne, can you discuss the importance of personalized communication in nurturing leads and how Klaviyo's platform supports this?
Totally, Tyler. And I want to make sure people feel like this is pretty casual. So, if you have questions, there will be folks who are helping to reply to questions in the chat, but put questions in. Tyler and I want to be able to make sure people feel like they get a sense for the value and what we're thinking about. So just want to highlight that. So back to Tyler's question. I think when we think about personalized communication, people expect a lot more today from brands than they ever have. They expect it from, they expect your dentist to remember the name of your dog or the books that you've read. People expect to have these like delightful customer experiences whenever they interact, and that includes the customer support or the customer experience that they get working with your agents. And people really don't want to be marketed to anymore. They want to be seen. They want to be understood. And Klaviyo is one of the reasons I work at Klaviyo. One of the reasons that brands get a ton of value out of Klaviyo is it brings together the data. At its core, Klaviyo is a data solution. It's a data product. And it brings together all the data you need to be able to understand your customer, who they are and what they're doing. So I think the biggest thing about when we think about personalized communication, it's about understanding a 360-degree view of that customer, where, what have they purchased? How many times have they interacted with your support team? Do they shop in store? Do they shop online? Are they, what emails and texts have they gotten? What ads did they see? Did they get the product already? Did they like it? So having that ability to see, all the interactions in one view is how you're going to be able to actually create that sort of customer, that delightful personalized experience that all of our that everyone craves. Nobody wants to feel like just a lead. And I'm going to say that again and again here. They want to feel like a human who is, being interacted with in a thoughtful way.
You touched on something at the start, which I find very interesting because it actually comes back to the Gorgias origin story. And Roman, our CEO, tells the story. He grew up in Normandy in France, relatively small community. Everyone knows each other. And he talked about how him and his sister would shop at the same seamstress, tailor. All of their clothes came from the same place. And they'd go in there. The tailor knew their names, the seamstress knew his sister's name, knew what size they were, knew what they liked, knew what their style was. And I mean, I grew up in a really small town, and Anne, I know you did as well, so we can both relate to that. Where it's that's the community that I understood growing up is, everyone knows what I prefer, what I like, and that's part of the reason that although my career is dedicated to e-commerce, there's still some things that I go in store to buy because it's the recommendations. How can they help me? What do they know about me as far as a personalized recommendation go? And you touched on that as such an important pillar for all merchants to be able to offer, and how Klaviyo can really help that alongside Gorgias when it comes to working with customers day to day.
Totally. And I mean, that's the sweet spot, right? Like having something that feels like it's the tailor, you are regular. It's like everyone knows your name, but doing it in a way that is at scale. And, I think that's where like the tech stack is just critical. And that includes customer support solutions like Gorgias. It's gotten bigger. The tech stacks have gotten bigger. They've gotten more complex. That means that data is everywhere. And it's really hard to do that well, with all of those interactions happening in different places. So,
Of course. So individually, both of our products leverage personalized communication in their own way. But with our new integration and our historical integration, how can brands use Gorgias and Klaviyo together to deliver a detailed, personalized communication experience?
absolutely. So there's a brand that I love. It's called Maiden Cookware. They are a Klaviyo customer. They're a Gorgias customer. I have many of their products, and they have this like adorable little butter warmer. It's literally the cutest little pan you have ever seen. It's just adorable. So shout out to their products. And I've never had a bad review with them. I've never interacted with their support team. But I think they represent, they are a brand where, if I think about it as the story, if I have purchased many things from them. If I got maybe I received a product from them and it was damaged in shipping, or it was a different thing than I ordered. The ability to connect the Klaviyo SMS, email, push CDP solution with Gorgias to be able to say, before I even, maybe I respond with a negative review, maybe I reach out to support, but having the ability to see the data around the purchases I've made, around who I am as a customer within that support experience allows you to connect the dots to really create that world-class experience that, we know that brands like Maiden value. So the core use cases are like, faster ticket responses. So being able to sync Klaviyo SMS replies to Gorgias to really centralize those conversations. So if I'm chatting with someone from, the Maiden support team and asking questions about delayed shipment, about something that was damaged, receiving the wrong product, whatever it is, again, I've never had any bad experiences with them. Awesome, adorable butter warmers. But I would feel like, that's creating the kind of experience that I know is aligned with their brand. I also think, the integration allows you to win back unhappy customers. So being able to set up, trigger a win back flow from, a ticket resolved when a ticket's resolved, or using ticket content or custom tagging to really create those personalized experiences. And then I think like no one wants to get a wrong message. So, you don't want to send a marketing message when someone is interacting with the support agent. So being able to pause Klaviyo campaigns or flows, based on open tickets in Gorgias. So just again, like connecting the dots between all of those touch points, again, SMS, email, push, whatever it is, connecting the dots with the support experience is going to create that seamless journey that brands strive for.
Yeah, you touched on something at the end there that I think is a really interesting perspective to look at things when when you look at the way you operate your site as a merchant and you consider that touch point of you don't want to reach out to somebody with a marketing email when they're in a customer support campaign or a flow trying to do a win back or just a nurturing, hey, we have a problem, how can we fix it? I'm an avid golfer, so naturally we're in the summer months. I live in southern Canada where we only get those 8 months of glory. So that's where a lot of my purchasing power has been these last couple months. And I thought about the fact of in that comparison, like imagine going to Golf Town, which is the popular golf store in Ontario, and saying, "Hey, my club broke and it's under warranty. I need you to fix it." And then someone walks up to you and says, "Hey, got a new product I just launched. Would love for you to buy it." And just think about how bad of a buying experience that would be in person, and then picture that being on when you're online, and then being like, "Well, these people don't get what I'm trying to do." And when you put that in perspective of like, yeah, you would walk out of that store if you were there in person, or you'd be like, "No, I have no interest." So being able to have that all in one view, make it a seamless experience, make sure that you're not getting hit. And we've all been there. We've all got targeted in an experience where we have a negative experience with the brand and they're trying to hit us up without trying to actually rectify that negative experience. So having this in one place is great.
Yep, totally. Yeah, I know. I was actually thinking the same thing about the tailor, the story you told earlier. Like, imagine if, you brought your something in to be repaired and they're immediately like, trying to sell you stuff that was not, yeah. So
Mhm.
be tone
Yeah.
deaf. That's what you don't want to be. You don't want to be tone deaf.
Yes. Well, I would love to pivot a tiny bit into, some of your ideas from your experience at Klaviyo and how we can help merchants think about this as a collaboration. So, what are some best practices for optimizing lead conversion rates using Klaviyo's data-driven insights?
Um, so I think the first thing just to highlight here, and nothing against this question, but like it's not a lead, like it's a relationship. And I think first just like pivoting the language to think about like Klaviyo is the only marketing platform that's really built for building smarter relationships. And so when you think about like how to optimize the conversion rate, like that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to get people to buy more or come back and return or share their experience with their friends or whatever it is. Um, the way to do that is, Klaviyo's built data first. That means we have everything together: data, guidance, marketing automation, all the channels. It's all in one platform. So the first thing is it just has to be together. It can't have stuff happening in different silos. Or you can, but you can't work efficiently and nothing is scalable. You have to connect the dots using human intervention. And this connected data is really what powers incredible growth for brands who use Klaviyo. So this means a couple things. First, it's easier to deliver smarter experiences everywhere. And this is like 5-star concierge level stuff. So I think about like a lovely, like a beautiful hotel brand and how you might they know what you're going to ask before you ask it. Like that's the kind of experience we want to give with Gorgias, where someone knows who you are, they know what you've had, and they sort of anticipate what you're going to need based on having the data from Klaviyo to power their support experience. Secondly, it's really about like Klaviyo is all about having that like fast, accurate feedback loop. So what that means is we have 140,000 customers. We have AI tooling, we have industry benchmarks. And again, this is going to help you figure out what is going to matter, what's going to have the biggest impact. Like, why would you do certain things? What are the moments of the journey that matter? And then lastly is just like this consolidation. So if you think about like the efficiency, if you're physically a human, my sister, she used to work in e-commerce, and this was many years ago, and she was in email marketing, and she would have to write emails and give them to a developer who would write the HTML and who would send it. And the ability to do that in a tailored way was impossible. The ability to do that quickly was impossible. So thinking about how are you using generative AI so you can focus your team on higher value activities? How are you using predictive analytics to be able to be more accurate? You can have, you have the data in Klaviyo. We have a lot of data from a lot of brands. So you're able to see what matters. And then, how do you set up things so that you're not a human connecting the dots, but the tooling is really helping you do that. And that extends to the support experience, which is, what we're talking about.
Yeah, a lot of overlap in our two products when it comes to that thought track around, how can you pivot your team to focus on things that matter? Obviously we recently launched our AI agent product as well, focusing on that exact thing where, merchants get hit up with not redundant questions, but questions that are, easily answered. Where's my order? When's this being shipped? What's the return policy? And we're able to automate all those questions now and focus on the stuff that matters, similar to the way that Klaviyo approaches that same topic of how can we put the most amount of human interaction to still make it a very detailed, customized, customer first approach, but focus on things that are going to be really high value to you as a brand when you're working with your customers. And one thing I want to touch on too that came out of that was I like the idea that you have the start around like being relationship focused rather than lead focused. I do totally align with that. I think, again, going back to that like Gorgias origin story, that is where Gorgias came from, was when when Roman was, shopping online, there was no personalized reach outs and there was no one in a chat bot saying, hey, I know you've purchased this before, or you're interested in this product. Like that didn't exist at that time. And it was that same idea of like, well, you want that idea of how can you get tailored experiences, and you can do that through a lot of different ways, which is great.
Yeah,
with
awesome.
Klaviyo reviews, when connected to Gorgias, how does Klaviyo reviews help optimize these conversion rates in that collaboration with Gorgias, like as a tandem?
Yeah, I think it's like, again, stuff happens. Someone gets the wrong item, product is defective or damaged in shipping. Like most people are understanding about that as long as they feel like they are heard. So again, it's that like back to that tone deaf. A couple roles ago, I managed a support team. And so I definitely like empathize. I've probably hundreds, thousands and thousands of support tickets I've answered myself. And like we always had the mantra, like be a thoughtful person. And that's the two key words there. First is thoughtful. So like when you're responding, be curious, ask questions, be engaged, have the information. Don't ask questions that you should already know because you have the data. And then the second one is a person. So how are you connecting the humanness of how are you connecting the humanness of the person on the other side with you as a human? And so I think that's really like the optimization is not about something technical or fancy or AI-ish. It's really about saying like, how are you helping people be more thoughtful humans and connect with other humans in a meaningful way? And that produces the conversion. That's the stuff that matters. And we'll get into like, how does it work and like, what are the use cases? But I think like at the end of the day, it's about connecting two people and doing it in a way that's thoughtful and giving the support person the information that they need in order to serve that experience the best that they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge differentiator for brands who do this well.
I totally agree. And I don't want to spoil too much of some things here, but like the idea of, I'm not an avid reviewer. I'll admit that firsthand. I'm not someone who reviews often, but the idea of being able to open a ticket after a negative review automatically is just table stakes for a brand, in the sense that like, if you can have that view firsthand of, okay, we need to address these merchants or these customers head on to make sure that their experience isn't going in the wrong direction. You think about something like that and how that's not automatic. You know what I mean? Like that's something that we want to have. That's what separates you as a brand, having good customer experiences. People are going to return to you if they feel that they're being heard. Like you mentioned, you feel that the love is there, because typically it's a misunderstanding or an accident or stuff like that. And you can handle that. Like I have a bad experience that I'll share where I ordered from a brand and, got the notification in the shop app. It was going to be shipped in 4 to 5 days. 1 month went by, 2 months went by, nothing. I had to reach out, nothing. engaged in my first ever, like, I've never done a chargeback before, and I was like, I really don't want to do this. Like, I understand how brands work. I know how much this is going to hurt them, but 2 months have gone by and it's supposed to be a 5-day shipping. Like, but if that brand would have just reached out and said, hey, we're out of stock, it's going to be shipped as soon as that's and ships back in stock, like that would have changed my mind. It'd be like, hey, yeah, no problem, I can wait. But the 2 months of radio silence, as a consumer, I'm like, this is brutal. Like, I need, like, just something, and those ideas would help so much. It's just some of the tailored experiences.
Yep, absolutely. And I think when you think about like SMS specifically, like it is of the moment. And so think the reviews, when someone submits a negative review, having that be able to automatically create a ticket so that a support engineer can text back and forth with a merchant to really get create, you waited 2 months with a lot of frustration. How do you shorten that time to create a much more thoughtful response from the company?
And to make to the cherry on top of the situation, which we touched on before when we're talking about like reaching out, like I got a notification like another month after that being like, hey, this item's back in stock. I noticed you've ordered this before. Would you like it again? I'm like, come on, like we got to put this together a little bit, but it happens. So, but you mentioned SMS, so I'd love to dive into that as well. Like, what are some key strategies when it comes to nurturing leads or relationships and maintaining that engagement constantly?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think like SMS is just a channel again to connect with a person. And I think unlike email, it feels more kind of the moment. So when we think about things like support or shipping, it's sort of like tied to time. So you think about how to introduce more temporal interactions with your customer journey. So ways you can do that is, you can send texts to less engaged email subscribers. So again, the brand Made In, they focus on SMS and they can send to people who are, maybe dormant email recipients, and they might re-engage on a new channel. So maybe they're sending a lot less SMS messages, but the ones that they're sending are more efficient, and they're more pointed at people who, they know would prefer that channel. The other thing is just like when you think about that customer journey, whether it's kind of branching that journey into these are emails, and then there could be more interest-based customer journey. So if a subscriber interacts with a specific product collection in a welcome flow, they could join an interest-based segment and receive additional messages about products that are similar. So, if you are in the golf example that you used, if you have an affinity to a certain brand, it could be that you get regular updates on, products that are of that brand, that same brand, or maybe you always buy the same ball and it's like there's a new version. So again, how to try to keep that top of mind. And then, it's not, I think those are the things I would kind of recommend is thinking about like how to you leverage SMS in these more temporal moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the segmentation part, like knowing who your customer is and providing what you know of them in a text. Like, another thing that I actually subscribe to is my dog's food. It comes every 2 weeks. It's a convenient one. Actually started from my previous role where we were my previous company, and Gorgias does this as well, where you have a certain amount of dollars you can put towards our customers to support our customers, and I chose that from there. But they send me text messages all the time saying, hey, new type of food in, based off of your last 5 purchases, I think you would like to try this. Your dog might like this flavor. I don't know what my dog likes flavor-wise, but I'm like, yeah, sure. You know what? I think he would. I'll give it a try. Like, that's always a good experience for that conversion too.
Diversity is good, right? Like you different types of food.
Absolutely. How can support teams use Klaviyo SMS integrated with Gorgias to facilitate better communication?
I think one of the things that we're most proud of and excited about with the integration with Gorgias and Klaviyo is that the support agent can communicate with customers via Klaviyo SMS without ever leaving the Gorgias UI. So really, it's like, if a customer opens a ticket about a delayed shipment, and you have to have a text conversation with that customer to address their needs. Like it's, where's your package, or what is the estimated time for delivery? You don't have to toggle between tabs. The conversation that happens within Gorgias, it's all captured within the Klaviyo conversation. So there's really that connected experience, and the support person can stay in Gorgias where they need to be and still have the the power of Klaviyo SMS as part of that journey. It's recorded as, it's under that person's profile as like this, they had this experience in Klaviyo. So you're not doing things like sending email and marketing messages to them at the same time when it's unresolved. So I think that's that's one of the most powerful benefits of it, in my opinion.
We have a question in chat very related to this topic, and I'm curious, I'm sure Klaviyo has some really detailed stats on this. Do you recommend regular SMS or WhatsApp for a higher response rate from customers?
I think it depends on your location, and Klaviyo has a robust SMS offering. There are integrations with WhatsApp that are available, but it's not something that we offer out of the box. We don't have a WhatsApp integration out of the box. So we just have a lot more use cases with SMS. It's also quite pervasive. So I think, my opinion is like we have a lot of data on the SMS, and we're exploring what's possible with WhatsApp.
Yeah, I'm happy you said that, because I was going to try to tackle it and I was like, I'm not. But yeah, my take on that is the same as it was saying, is like it's definitely location dependent. Like, you look at the way North America operates, which is where Ann and I are based, much more heavy on the SMS front compared to the international markets. If you're based in Europe or South America, for example, Europe especially is really heavy on WhatsApp, since there's so many, all the countries are so close together. Rather than paying international texting rates, WhatsApp is much more convenient, especially for talking with family, things like that. So I would definitely agree it's a location dependency.
And then I think
myself, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, myself, I don't log into WhatsApp that often, so I wouldn't be a great target market for that compared to SMS, where I try to keep my I'm a zero inbox person, so I'm also a zero text person. I try to keep that number as low as possible. Otherwise, I get a little bit of anxiety around, like, oh my goodness, who am I missing responding to? So hope that helps.
Yeah, and I would say it's less about the channel and more about sending fewer, more impactful messages. So like anyone who is inundated with messages, in the US right now, we have elections. And so people are preparing for elections in November, and there's just tons and tons and tons of text messages that we get every day around like, what's your plan? Who are you voting for? All these things. And it's a lot. And I think, so thinking about whatever channels you're using, being thoughtful about what you're sending, that's probably more important than the channel itself. It's not probably, it is more important than the channel itself. Yeah.
100% agreed on that. Cool. Well, I would love to, I guess, pivot now into the new integration and kind of talk through some of what we've been building. So obviously we're really excited to announce our new integration with Klaviyo. And can you give us a bit of an overview of the key benefits from your perspective?
Totally. And I think you can Vanna for me and help with the slides. So wherever you want to go with the slides is great. So the stuff that's new that we're really excited about are, there's a new use case, which is being able to automatically create a ticket in Gorgias for any review rating that's 3 stars and under. So if someone gives a negative review, it allows you to turn a negative experience into a positive one. So this would be, it automatically creates a ticket right away, unlike Tyler's experience of waiting 2 months. Right away, someone can say, hey, what can we do to make this right? So you're able to proactively reach out to these dissatisfied customers and create these more like wow-worthy customer experiences. Hopefully turning that negative review into a positive review through that customer interaction. And then the other thing is that the tickets with the new reviews integration, or the new integration with Gorgias and Klaviyo, the ticket will include all review information as well as all information associated with the profile of the reviewer. So what, like me, if I bought 5 things before from Made in Cookware, that person would see that I'm pretty passionate about their product, and have that information when they're interacting with me. The other thing you can do is, because you have that, you can do things like extending retention offers. So you could offer a discount, you could offer free shipping. Again, what are you going to do to sort of make it right and regain that customer's trust? So yeah, and then we already talked about this, but like just the efficiency of the support team member, to be able to not have to go back and forth or not have to like cross-reference information. They have it all in one place, is a huge, I mean, it's a time savings, and it's just their own like work experience.
Yeah, when you approach it from like a support perspective, 100% agree on the efficiency gain there. Like having everything in one platform speeds up the response times, and just really streamlines the way they work from a day to day. From a brand perspective, I think it's great to highlight that everything is in that window. Like in the side panel, you can see all the customer information. Although I would love to say every merchant should approach every customer the same, there is a historical skew towards the customers with a higher lifetime value. You want to make sure that they're your VIP customers per se, and that you want to make sure they have a really good experience. So being able to have that information allows your support team to ensure that they can approach that customer with the utmost care, respect, make them feel loved. Like if you have someone who's in Anne's situation, purchased from Made In 5 or 6 times, you really want to ensure that she's getting a good experience compared to myself, who has yet to purchase, but Anne's telling me might have to make a purchase myself. But you know what I mean? Like you want to make sure that she, as a brand advocate, is getting the most amount of care, and that goes back to this whole theme of ensuring that personalization is there from every single step. I think the next thing I wanted to touch on too would be, how do you see this impacting the overall customer experience? Very broad question, but I would love to just touch on how you think this can really dive in.
Do you want me to talk about the slide specifically, or more about the general customer?
Well, I'll have you talk about your idea, and then we can kind of talk about the slide as like a summary.
Cool. I think so. I think the journey that a customer is on, from the initial interaction all the way over to having a retention strategy of how you're going to get that customer to come back. The points along the way are all the ways they interact with your brand. So that could be a support experience, that could be a marketing experience. So I think it's really about like having that cohesive place to be able to see that customer journey and how all the different points along the way contribute to that experience. So again, I think it's really like the integration that we have with Gorgias. The support experience is an extension of the customer experience, which is from the moment they interact with your brand to a pop-up that they're at, and then at an event, to an in-store experience and the interactions they have with the salesperson who's on the floor, to the SMS message they get, to the direct mail mailer that they get, or the number of catalogs that you get. All of those things are connected in that customer journey. I don't know if I totally answered your question, but push back. Okay.
You did, and what I want to highlight is on this slide in particular. So we've touched on a lot of these things as a theme. All the data in one place, being able to manage your list and segments, create target campaigns. The automatic ticket creation is a crucial pillar to you as a brand being able to have a good experience. We've touched on prevent
I want to pause
miscommunication.
there. I want to pause there a minute because
Mhm.
let's think about what happens with you when you don't have the automatic ticket creation. Okay, so somebody from the reviews side, someone owns your website, marketing team, and they own the reviews experience because reviews are something that people put on the website. So unless a support person is proactively looking at the website with the reviews, there's no way to see like you have to go there and be like, I'm going to fix this problem for this person, and it's not a part of the workflow that they have. And that part is like just even the best intentioned, the sharpest, the most customer focused folks they're never going to do that. They're never going to do that. You're not like, no way, you can't do that at scale. You can hardly do that if you're like, a 10-person company. Like it's really, really difficult. And so I think the tooling that you have with the connection between Gorgias and Klaviyo is the thing that empowers people to do the thing that's really hard to do manually. So sorry to interrupt you.
No, 100% aligned on that. And I think it comes back to that, like that, just everything we've been talking about is what I want to segue into is a lot about how we can help with the proactivity aspect, help save bad experiences, turn them into positive experience. But I want to touch on a little bit just to wrap up kind of this integration piece is around how we can take positive experiences and turn them into more positive experience for us as a brand. So how can we drive more revenue from an integration like this? Can we take positive experiences and predict what we can see? Like, how do you see the idea of being able to leverage this and help as a brand make more money? Obviously, we want to save money. We want to make sure we're turning the negatives into positives, but how do we really leverage the positives here too?
I mean, a couple of things is just like thinking about the impact on KPIs. So, the kind of average handle time, the ticket resolution time, like all of that informs someone's customer experience. The other thing is when you can turn a bad review into a positive review that has, that sort of is a force multiplier because now everyone who comes to your brand no longer sees that 2-star review, but they see something that, has been resolved and they feel like they're seeing an improved review score. So that obviously is impacting it. And then just like thinking about how it's expensive to acquire new customers. So being able to save or have that customer experience be part of your retention strategy to be able to ultimately like have a higher spend per customer because people are coming back and buying another butter warmer for their mother-in-law or whatever it is based
I
on
think, yeah, that last piece that I want to touch on. I've seen a few brands do this, and it's really unique. And I want to kind of disclaimer this as you really have to know your customers to introduce this strategy because it is a very fine line of making sure that they feel loved and welcomed and trying to upsell them too much. And I think what I'm talking about is taking a positive review, reading what you see, if they're talking about how much they love a certain product, maybe there's an accessory to add on to that makes that even more valuable. To your case with the butter warmer, like if you're saying how much you love the butter warmer, you'd love to have, you say something like, I wish everyone had this in your house. Like, how can you take that positive review and help offer like a discount code to add that, purchase more, things like that. Like, it's a really unique strategy to leverage a review and drive that more revenue. And you're able to get that information. You don't have to fish for that. You can set up flows to grab this information, put it back into, Klaviyo, whatever, Gorgias, whatever tool you're really kind of living in that day and say, hey, we need to reach this merchant, try to leverage this to get an additional sale because they want it. It's in a position I don't recommend going out and blasting and saying, hey, buy more from us. But it's really a nuance of understanding your customers, leveraging the review they have, and being able to position additional products that will benefit the way they're using your products today.
Yep, totally. And the same thing with like providing a discount code or free shipping or some of those things as part of the support experience can actually help people feel like there's a benefit to buying more or purchasing something that they maybe wouldn't have purchased without that additional discount.
Definitely.
Again, be very thoughtful. Like we're be thoughtful and personal, like a thoughtful human.
I would love to now pivot to some questions from the audience if you have any. I have had a few pop in privately here, and we have a few that we'd love to cover, but feel free, as Ann and I said to start, very open and conversational here, wanting to just be able to provide as many thoughts as we can around the strategies you can use, integrations, things we've discussed. So feel free to throw anything in. I have a few that I can start with Ann while a few kind of pop in here. And I think one would be, what are some best practices for ensuring that marketing campaigns are aligned with customer support activities to provide a seamless customer experience? Very hot topic in today's world.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where like having a flow that's set up that has rules around when to include a customer or when to take them out of a seatless, out of a step within the flow in Klaviyo is the way to address that. Like again, not relying on people to have to like manage that, but having it be part of the flow that's already set up. So if there are if someone is engaged with a support team member, that they're not getting sent that message as part of the rules that you set up within your flows.
Awesome. And we've talked about this a little bit, but maybe we can kind of just drill this point home. How can brands leverage Klaviyo and Gorgias to improve customer feedback handling and overall customer satisfaction, or CSAT scores?
I think like the timeliness here is really important. I keep coming back to your like 2 months waiting, and we've all been there. We've all been there where you like talk to somebody and then just you don't get a response, or you never get a response. So I think if you think about like some of those, getting tickets automatically created, using SMS as a channel to interact with your customers in a support experience versus email where people are away from, it just feels like of the moment. And so I think the timeliness matters. And that's the part that if people feel like they're being listened to, like I had a problem and someone is listening, that part is where I think you can have the biggest impact. And again, we're just here to provide the tooling to help you be a thoughtful person in your interactions with customers.
Yeah, I think about in that scenario too, like we all work in this industry. We have a much more detailed understanding of how things work behind the scenes than the average consumer does. And I think about my mother or even my grandmother trying to shop online, and I've had a lot of conversation with them about, pivoting from being like an avid Amazon consumer and pushing over to like going to the merchant directly, and how that benefits them more. And the part that they struggle with is that communication aspect and the personalization of, if things go wrong, they don't know what to do, who to go to, how to get their order on time. And I think that's being able to leverage these two tools together is such a great way to get into a new target audience that might not be as comfortable buying from you directly, but they want to. They just don't understand how, and being able to provide that really personalized experience for them is how you kind of get into them as a buyer and have them come to you versus third-party sources, etc.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. One of the questions I see in the chat is around as how to set up this integration. So we're not going to show that today we're not going to do kind of the how, but I can just share within Klaviyo, there is an integrations tab. Within Gorgias, there's an integrations tab. Within Klaviyo, you can go to the integrations tab and you can enable the integration with Gorgias. And with that integration, you will have access to the new functionality that's part of this feature set. And if there's more details, like if you need to have help with that, we can help show you how to set that up, or we can have someone share a demo of how that works. Oh yeah, and I see somebody gave a help topic too. So thank you, Stephanie, for adding that. So.
Perfect. I don't see too many more questions rolling in, so I can start to wrap up. If anything pops up, happy to jump back to it. One thing I wanted to touch on is with this, obviously, we do have some marketing material that you'll see out there. So I believe everyone who's attended will have this case study sent to them just as kind of a review to kind of see what's happened. And then obviously you'll see this from both sides of the fence, but just walking through a virtual customer of ours who's went through this process, how they achieve a 2-minute average response time for SMS. They achieve a 20-minute average handle time for SMS. And they've converted 2% of tickets to SMS for more time-consuming channels. Some really good kind of high-level stats. Gives an example of what things look like. And then this is just kind of a Cole's notes. I'm going to remove this slide quickly because I don't want everyone to get stuck in reading everything. This will be sent to you. You can touch all the benefits. It's a very powerful tool. With that, I think I just want to kind of close in a summarization of some of the stuff that Ann and I have talked about here today. I think, the main theme is really around that personalization and how customers expect that in today's world. And e-commerce has really obviously evolved and adapted over time where, early days, we've been in this industry probably longer than we all want to admit. That wasn't the expectation. It wasn't, you didn't have to log in and people know who you are. But nowadays, that's what we really want to see. And leveraging Klaviyo, leveraging Gorgias, leveraging reviews, SMS in combination is how you can really work with a customer, whether they're a first-time buyer or a VIP type customer, and ensure that they know that your brand and the advocacy they're going to get from working with you is going to be present from the first time they come onto your site and you ask a question through the chat to, your post-purchase flow and your review strategy and how they can really cater to you as an overall customer. I think another theme here is how you can leverage reviews to not only save customers who have negative reviews and turn them into, an advocate of your brand, but you can also leverage that to, position additional products, drive more revenue to your brand as a whole. But the overall strategy is that you can leverage reviews as a channel to really drive more revenue to your brand and help create more advocates, which is extremely important. We talk a lot. I didn't talk about this too much today, but we talk a lot about in our industry how we can use second time buyers because they're so much more valuable to you as a company. And once you get past that first time buyer glass ceiling, how can you ensure they stick around and continue to be an advocate? Anne's a great example for Made in Cookware. They've converted her into a lifetime supporter, and that's so hard to do, but you can really accomplish that faster and more efficiently through channels like Klaviyo Reviews, Klaviyo SMS, and Gorgias support. And that will help kind of as a dream team to make sure that they feel loved throughout the process. We did have one more question pop in here, and as we wrap, and it is, you recommend have more live chat than a bot to respond.
I'm curious. I was going to say, I'm curious, Tyler, from your side, coming from this like deep knowledge around customer support. I'd love to get your perspective on when do you think, a bot is a part of the support experience. It's essential. It's important for people to have a scalable support agent model. I think we're seeing the support agent work get smarter and smarter as it's evolved and as sort of AI comes in and plays a role there. I'd love to get your perspective on how to do that effectively. And I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but how to think about when are there humans? When is this a human? When is the human experience? I'm a big fan of real people, so how do you sort of balance that with the bot and the necessity of a more scalable support team?
Yeah, I think as we talk about how important segmentation is for email and SMS, it's equally as important when it comes to having your help documents, up to snuff and have that detail there. So for a chatbot, you're able to leverage, really segmented questions to kind of put them into flows to understand what they're asking, what they need. I think when it comes to human interaction, and I touched on our AI agent product earlier as well, and how that's kind of the intermediary between a chat and human is being able to have that AI answer questions based off of how, your brand would normally answer a question. The key here is highlighting what are they asking and being able to identify that as quickly as possible so that you can identify whether you need someone to jump in or not. So, 21% of questions are, where's my order? You don't traditionally need a human to jump in and say, hey, your order is here, because that information is readily available depending on where you're looking. But on a lot of sites, it is harder to find. You have to go into, DHL or Pure Later or whatever is a third party and find where that lives, UPS. That isn't as simple. So they want to go to that chat, find that easy. We can find that information through AI agent or through a chatbot, provide that detail. They know where to go, where to click. If they are providing a really detailed, question or experience, they want a personalized hey, I'm this size. I have, my traditional pant size is this. What size would you recommend? That's where you kind of get into maybe a bit more of like an AI agent or a human interaction of, hey, I recommend this based off of like the statistics you have historically. And the last part of that is if they are coming in with specific, I see that kind of pop in, perfect timing, around like specific product questions, really looking for a detailed answer that you don't have maybe pre-programmed from an AI perspective, but you want to have a human jump in as like an upsell, cross-sell type experience. Great time for human to jump in. Or they're having a warranty question or a returns question that isn't necessarily maybe a nuance. It's really coming at like when revenue is really important. Find that fine line between what can an AI agent answer or that level up from a chatbot, and having the human jump in to really make sure that they're getting your brand experience across in situations that aren't consistent answers. So we have a lot of case studies out right now where some of our largest brands automated 60% of their questions through AI. That's great, but there's still 40% of questions that are really important to have a human jump in and have that experience. And to your point, Anne, like I'll highlight one of our favorite brands, which is Tushy. Very unique brand, has a lot of interesting stuff. And they need to have a human jump in certain scenarios because it's such a unique market. Not everyone knows, how to
Mhm.
use a bidet or where the right times are, things like that. So they need to jump in and provide that experience.
Yep, that's great. I was gonna actually the sizing thing. There's tons of cool tools around sizing to help people find the right, what's the right fit based on a lot of things that how you things you bought before. But the product stuff also gives when people are asking product questions or reviews or some of that, that's also a chance to give them that like sales sort of focused support experience where whether that's upsell or even asking for a review is a thing that if they bought something before, we really appreciate a review
Mhm.
and having that be part of that. So those are great questions.
100%. Lovely. Well, I think that wraps us close to time. So again, Anne, appreciate it as always. You're such a genius in our space. Love the ability to talk to you and get your thoughts out there. I'm sure everyone who was here appreciated hearing your perspective on things. And Klaviyo is such a titan in our industry, the way that they've been around to kind of refine the space and grown to be such an important part of the tech stack for thousands upon thousands of merchants. So always appreciate the ability to talk with you and get your thoughts out there. And I'm sure I can echo that for everyone that was live here today.
It was fun to participate. Thank you for having us, and it's really exciting to see this next version of our partnership. So we love Gorgias.